Are the Giants done?
Of course they are. Sorry to break it to you. They got no shot. The season's over. They are horrible. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And it starts with Daniel Jones, a $160 million contract. That dude, $40 million a year dude. That dude. This dude right here, right now, okay, $92 million guaranteed, because I had to pull up the numbers. I make sure that I was right about this. Do you know the New York Giants have been outscored 64-3 in their 2 home games? 64-3. Mm-hmm. That is just an atrocity, okay? And then I'm looking at Daniel Jones, because I got to take it a step further. I'll leave the breakdown of what transpired last night to you and my man Shay right there, but I got to tell y'all something right now, okay? Last season, Brian Daboll, the rookie head coach that is Brian Daboll, Daniel Jones had the lowest interception percentage of any NFL quarterback at 1.1%, okay? 5 picks in 16 games. Mm-hmm. Right now, he's tied for the league with Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, this is what it is right here. I mean, it's just an absolute atrocity. Talk about getting your bag and then forgetting what got you there. I mean, clearly hoodwinked, probably ingratiated himself with Brian Daboll, probably schmoozed with management and all of this other stuff. Got the bag and then forgot how to damn play. Did you see Brian Daboll walk up there? First, he was in the space of Florida. Then he grabbed the clipboard, right? The iPad, rather, right? And then, did you see the coach, Shannon, just give up and just throw the damn thing to the bed? It ain't no hope talking to this brother right here. It is no hope. You just look at the New York Giants right now. They are absolutely awful. It starts with their quarterback, who clearly the coach shouldn't have much faith in, clearly doesn't have much faith in, because he's making boneheaded mistakes that he was making prior to Daboll's arrival. Okay, clearly was looking for a new contract last year. So put in the work, exercised the discipline, got his bag, and then forgot everything. That's what's happened. And when you have a guy at the quarterback position who is guilty of such things, fellas, y'all know what time it is. The end has arrived. This season is a wash for the New York Giants. I just can't see them recovering from it.
I don't think it's a wash for the New York Giants. I would say this. I agree with Daboll. It is a long year. It's only the first quarter of the season. But let's talk about just everything that went into this season.
Okay.
Right? Daniel Jones gets paid the money. They decide not to pay Saquon. They franchise him. We had this whole conversation about what the value of the running back is. Well, I can tell you what the value of the running back is for the New York Football Giants. Well, Saquon, without him, the last 11 games are 3-8. Right? They scored 3 points last night, and before that game, they were only averaging 15.3 points per game. And when you look at Daniel Jones and the way that he played, that interception, yes, he's staring down his receiver, but it's also because he was too far ahead on the play. Right here, they're going to run a corner route with Darren Waller. They've got a drag China coming underneath and an under route. He doesn't even allow the play to develop before he makes that throw, and I think it's because he got sacked 10 times in the game, 11 sacks total. Right? So not only is he the problem, their scheme is the problem, and they can't protect him. So they paid Daniel Jones like a guy that needs help. They tried to give him help by going and getting Darren Waller, drafting Jalen Hyatt, going and getting Paris Campbell from the Colts, and they just have not been able to put that together. Right now, the Giants are 1-12 in primetime games with Daniel Jones as a starting quarterback. I don't think that the season is over for them, but what they have to do is they got to get Saquon Barkley back. They have to get the 3 of their 5 offensive linemen that were hurt. And to me, that will be a recipe for them to try to go out and maybe squeak into the playoffs. But the bottom line is they probably regret paying Daniel Jones right now.
How about that? Go ahead, Shannon.
I agree with a lot what you said, RG3. I think the problem is that Daniel Jones, quarterback, is the only position that they'll pay you market when you're below market. No other position.
Right.
Wide receiver, running back, first of all, can't even get paid what they deserve, especially if they're top-tier running backs. But the quarterback position is the only position that teams will pay you in hope you get better. All the other positions, you've got to show that you're worthy and deserving of that payday. Daniel Jones, you mentioned RG3. He got sacked 10 times, 2 picks, a fumble loss. On the what we call a look like a little whip route, is that what the guy's running as an under, but it's in the whip formation, the whip concept, is that you can't miss on the back shoulder because you run that route hoping that the defender is going to be on your back. So if you miss anywhere, you got to miss inside because if you miss on the backside, you're going to hit 2-1, which he did right between the numbers, and it's going to the house. Also, you know your offensive line is porous. He got sacked 44 times last year. He's already been sacked 22 times in 4 games. Now, what's the likelihood over the next 13 games he's only going to get sacked twice per game? So you're talking about that number is going to be exponentially higher this year than what it was last year. You didn't want to play Saquon, and as you mentioned, RG3, your offense is based on Saquon. When he plays and plays well, you win or you have the potential of winning. When he doesn't play or he doesn't play well and you're asking Daniel Jones to win the game for you, he's shown you there's a large sample size that says Daniel Jones cannot win you ball games unless Saquon Barkley plays and plays well. Yet you gave him the money. Y'all call him Danny, Molly, y'all call him Danny Dimes. I call him Danny Crimes because he's stealing money from the New York Giants. Excuse me. That's what he's doing. He's stealing money.
Okay. Danny Crimes. I like that. I like that. That might work. That might work. That might work, Shannon. I like that. But let me Danny Crimes. Danny Crimes. I like that, Molly. I'm gonna hold on to that. We gonna hold on. Shannon we gonna make sure we mention that every week.
Molly, I'm sorry.
At least once a week.
No, it's cool. We scored 3 points in 2 home games. It's cool. I'm here for it.
Here's the deal. This is something that now we're lamenting the state of affairs with Daniel Jones and what have you, and seeing what's going on and stuff. You know, this brother is 1-12. 1-12 as a starter in primetime games.
Yeah, RG3 said that earlier.
0-7 on Monday Night Football. I mean, you know, at some point in time, damn it, let's stop blaming the Giants.
More turnovers than pass TDs. That's the biggest one of them all.
We're not going to blame the Giants. I take it back. I'm not blaming the Giants.
Who you blaming?
I'm blaming the National Football League. Why the hell are they on national television? Why? Why? What? We need to talk to the league office schedule makers. Excuse me.
It's the New York
why
Giants.
are they on national television?
Okay.
Stephen, RG3 mentioned it, is that he's staring down the receiver. And D.O. said yesterday all quarterbacks are accurate. If you're staring down the guy, and that's the guy you want to go to, how the hell you miss him by that much? You can't be late on that route, because if you're late, it's like an out route. That's basically what he threw, an inside-out route. If you're late on that route, guess what's going to happen? It's going to the house the other way. And it's so hard for them because it's so hard for them to score points because they don't have anybody special on offense. Yeah. Saquon's out. The only other special talent you have is Darren Waller. You don't have any special receivers, and you don't use Darren Waller like you should use him. And I think Daboll, he knows how to use a tight end, but he doesn't use him correctly. And Daniel Jones behind that offensive line, that is the recipe to go probably 4-13. 5-12 this year.
Well, Shannon, I'll say this to you. He was actually throwing the under on the outside, not the drag China. So he didn't allow the route to develop. When he runs that little whirly bird route where he goes out and comes back in, the whip. It's a whip. It's called a drag China in some offenses, but he's supposed to put that on the inside, but he wasn't throwing that. He bypassed that route to throw the second under on the outside. And what I'm saying is he did that in a way that was beyond his progression. He didn't go hitch, and get to that throw. He decided to throw it off that first hitch, and that's never what you want as an offense. The biggest issue for the Giants isn't just Daniel Jones. It's their offensive line isn't protecting. Their defense has the most missed tackles in the NFL right now. So it's a colossal collaborative failure, but they're asking Daniel Jones to play like a $50 million quarterback when they paid him as if he was a $40 million guy that needed help. So when I see Daboll throw the iPad and he's questioning Daniel Jones when he comes off the field, I know he'll look in the mirror today and say he shouldn't have done that. If he didn't like Jordan asking him the questions, telling him what the answers or what the score was to those games, why would he show up his quarterback in that moment
I can answer that.
when everyone knows, as a QB, when you make a mistake, you know what your mistake was. The last thing you want to see is your coach showing you up on national TV.
Let me answer that. I know you didn't ask me, but I'm going to answer it any damn way. I'm going to tell you why. Because he's thinking, man, I went and got you that money. Because the head coach, the new head coach, that was the rookie, that was the coach of the year in the National Football League, this brother vouched for you. Correct. He got you under his wing for 1 year, and they came to him and said, is this man worth this investment? This 4-year, $160 million deal, this $92 million in guaranteed dollars. Is he worth that? And you said, yeah. And then you saw what you saw. That's why the hell he reacted that way.
Can I add one thing? Can I add one thing?
Sure.
Also, Brian Daboll knows my livelihood, my coaching future is in this man's hands. Now, Daniel Jones, this is his third coach. This is his third coach, RG3.
Yeah.
You know that, Stephen A. Everybody knows that. And that Brian Daboll's like, you're going to cost me my job because I vouch for you getting this money. We had a great season.
I don't know
Daniel
if I
Jones
agree
is going
with
to get
that.
Brian Daboll fired.
Shannon, I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like Daboll has a lot of respect. What he did in Buffalo, I know Josh Allen looked great this past week, but we saw a step back when Daboll had left. And then also, I think just winning Coach of the Year, I think people are going to separate it. They're not going to blame Daniel Jones' failures on Daboll.
Correct.
Right? No. The coaches got to go. The coach, that's who gets fired.
Why does Daboll need to go?
Hold on. So, in other words, you lose. They fire coaches. They don't get rid of $40 and $50 million quarterbacks, RG3.
But they will in this situation because they have 2 years left until they can get out his contract. So they're going to be fully invested, and the guy that got the most out of him was Brian Daboll. What they have to do right now is figure out ways to start games faster. In the first half this year, they're being outscored 77-9. 77-9. So when he talks about, hey, the season's not over, we got to find a way to get going, that's the number one focus. Hey, let's tackle on defense, let's protect him up front, and we got to start scoring points in bunches early in games because Daniel Jones and this offense is not built to come from behind. We saw what happened in this game when they got behind, and it was not pretty, just like it was against the Cowboys.
But what is it built to do without Saquon?
Hold on, Shannon, because here's the deal. Shannon's right. I think that, listen, not in terms of, we're not talking about Brian Daboll getting fired this year. What he's saying is that ultimately the head coach is going to be held accountable. Because what happens is, especially, Molly, in the New York market, okay, we love Brian Daboll thus far, okay, but if they continue to look the way that they look, and they got people like Shannon and RG3 dissecting it with a fine-tooth comb and pointing out the litany of errors that have taken place evolving around the quarterback, right? Then you lean on the fact that you told us we should invest this money in this quarterback, but look what the hell is happening. Of course, not right now. But it like, let's say, for example, if we sitting here next year and it's the same situation because this season is an atrocity, and then next year starts off equally as bad. At some point, you're gonna look at the coach.
No one ever thought Daniel Jones was that dude. They just didn't have a better option, and no one thought Saquon was going to be hurt. I wouldn't connect Daboll to Daniel Jones at all.
Eventually,
Molly, think about what you just said. Molly, think about what you just said. They refused to pay Saquon, and now you're saying Saquon being hurt. What does Saquon have to do if Daniel Jones is getting $40 million? He's got to deliver you. He's supposed to be your Moses, not Saquon.
I think they didn't have a better option, and that's why they paid Daniel Jones.
Yeah, the conversation could easily go back to why did they pay Daniel Jones in the first place. I put up a tweet months ago about comparing Daniel Jones to Lamar Jackson before Lamar got paid.
Right.
And it's like, you look at this guy's numbers, who on the open market is going to offer Daniel Jones $40 million?
Exactly.
But we're past that moment.
We're past that
They
moment.
paid him.
Well, again,
they paid him. They paid him.
Past that moment in terms of the investment you made in him.
Correct.
What you're not past is holding others accountable because you paid.
I agree.
Hold up.
That's what I'm saying.
Shannon, what was their option, though, right? Everybody knew that Daniel Jones was not that guy. What was their other option for quarterback?
Barley. You know what I like to do, Stephen A? You know I like to do this like a relationship. It's like you're in he doesn't have or she doesn't have better options. Yes, you do. There are a lot of other quarterbacks that can do just as bad as Daniel Jones for cheap. That's your option.